All right, so just to keep some of you guys up to date on what's going on here, I took a brand new trade today, which is HURA. Here's essentially the order book or the trade details, including the other two trades that we've discussed in previous videos, which is SafeX. We barely exited out of this one today. Kodak as well. Both of them resulting in some form of profit. Obviously, the SafeX being the biggest profit, nearly a 4% return on a single trade. Try not to focus too much on a dollar figure, since 4% is always going to be 4% regardless of your account. If you can make 4% on a single trade, that's pretty good in my opinion. The Kodak trade, a little bit smaller, but it was still a respectable trade in my opinion. And I'm also currently holding right now another trade, which is ZNTL. So ZNTL is another big winner here that we have holding currently still. $84, nearly 2% of my account roughly right now. So this one is obviously performing really well right now. I'm going to discuss all these trades right here as quickly as possible, as efficiently as possible, and you're essentially going to get to see my strategy in pretty much all its phases. So from the entry, which we have a brand new trade right now to describe, and we also have SafeX, which actually hit our profit target, so that's the profit taking, and then Kodak, which actually we use a trailing profit method and got stopped out on that, and then currently the one that we're holding right now, which is ZNTL, I am currently using a trailing profit method. So you're literally going to get to see all these trades in a whole bunch of stages when it comes to trading here. So first of all, let's look at the brand new trade today, which we took today, which is HURA. So essentially what I'm looking for here is some form of resistance like this right here being broken with an aggressive or explosive green candle. You're looking at the daily time frame, so every candle represents 1 day worth of time, and the last candle that formed is this current green candle right here. Obviously it's much bigger than all the other previous ones over here, hence the name aggressive green candle, otherwise known as an elephant candle or an engulfing candle. It pretty much engulfs all the other previous candles over here in the past. So those two things combined, again, resistance being broken with an aggressive green candle, combine those two things with some explosive or a massive spike in volume down here is pretty much all we're looking for. So three things: resistance being broken with an aggressive green candle combined with explosive volume down here in the bottom. Now I'm going to mention right off the bat, this is not the best setup right here. I've seen much better ones here, but this is still a decent setup. Obviously the volume could have been a little bit bigger like this over here. This is real explosive volume down here, and then compared to this one, I mean, this isn't too big, but it's still good volume. The stock could still obviously pick up, especially considering that it has been running for a couple of days now. Some momentum is boiling up underneath. At least that's what I think. And I'm going to show you guys better examples using the ZNTL and the Kodak trade, which were my prime setups. But before that, let's get into the stop loss. So where exactly did I place my stop loss as soon as I entered? So firstly, the entry was done at the last couple of minutes of the day. Ideally, you would enter in the last second of the day, or not the last second, the last minute of the day. As you can see here, my entry time is 12:59, with the exception of today's trade. I actually had troubleshooting my trading platform, which is Interactive Broker. So I ended up delaying my entry a little bit, a couple of minutes after the market closed. But that's perfectly fine. I still managed to get a good price. But if you look up here, you'll see that I typically enter at 12:59. I essentially send out a market on close order, and what that does is pretty much get me in the stock at whatever price it is currently at in the last couple of seconds of the day. And that's pretty much what the system does for me once I send out that type of order. Once we enter, we actually have to do this manually, unfortunately. We enter our stop loss order at the midpoint of that aggressive green candle. So how do you find the midpoint? Well, it's pretty simple. You just add the open to the close and divide those two numbers by 2, and you get the midpoint, which is 2.56 in my case. And that's the hard stop loss right there. At this point, if the stock does come down all the way down here, the whole trade gets invalidated, so it becomes invalid at that point. Again, we're only risking 1% of my account throughout all these trades here, and just recently our account has obviously grown from taking those two profits with Kodak and SafeX, so we're now risking $53, just slowly creating the snowball effect, compounding effect, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, we're still only risking 1%, even though our account is growing, so that's pretty good to see. And yeah, so our target is going to be the 75% mark. And why the 75% mark? Well, let's take a look at one of the stocks that actually hit our profit target, which is SafeX. So SafeX today, it just hit our profit target. And you may be wondering, so why the 75% mark? The 75% mark is calculated from the close of the entry candle. So the entry candle would have been this green candle right here. From the close, where would be 75%? Well, you could use a calculator to determine that. But in my case, 75% from right here is 1.21. So the reason why I have this specific 75% mark is because I've been trading this strategy for 70 to 80 trades already, and I already know that at this 75% mark, price tends to retreat. And what do you know, if we look at the 5-minute time frame here, So the blue line is the 75% mark. If we look at the 5-minute time frame here, and the price just couldn't last, not even 10 minutes above this price before it just completely got rejected and the selling pressure started to come in. Why did this happen? I honestly don't know, and I also don't care. I'm just here to observe, and if it's working out, I'm going to take that idea and just use it to my advantage. So again, massive sell-off right here nearing the end of the day after hitting the 75% mark, and I wouldn't even doubt it if tomorrow we just close this gap and just come down even more. We're out of this trade, so it doesn't even matter at this point to me. But let's look at a case where we actually did move up our stop loss and got stopped out. Again, I'm explaining the phases, the possibilities that, not possibilities, but the circumstances that trading could potentially put you in, the situations that trading could put you in, and you have to know how to handle them, just in case, well, the worst scenario happens, the stock just comes crashing against you, and you're not just going to be left holding the bag right there. So in this particular case, nice setup, by the way. This is the setups that I'm looking for here. These are the prime setups here. A lot of data to work with. So we got like 4 months worth of candlesticks here. Again, these are daily candles here, so every candle represents 1 day worth of time. And this is probably like, yeah, since November of last year. So this is probably like 4 months worth of data. And then we got the aggressive green candle. Nice breakout here, strong candle. So what do you do once the price does come in your favor? Well, in this case, every single day that the price came in our favor, we actually managed to move up our stop loss 1/16th under the current candle. Now, if we look closely here, you'll see that we actually broke below that level right there, which was this red line. Yesterday's candle was a slightly negative day. We're losing like 1.5% here, but we still managed to move up our stop loss just because the previous day we actually managed to move up pretty nicely high up here. So we moved up our stop loss 1/16 under this candle, and then today we just got stopped out. The price decided to come right back down, taking us out, and then later in the day it actually managed to close above our stop loss. So that's completely fine at this point. If it took me out, it took me out. That's not a big deal at all. Next one on the list is ZNTL, another prime setup here. So looking to the left hand side, you'll see a lot of data over here, plenty of data to work with, a lot of days to work with. But the best thing about this chart here is the aggression that came with this green candle here. If we look at this candle here, it just engulfs all the other previous candles here. And then right away the next day, we got a candle even bigger than that first initial entry candle that we entered right here. We thought this one was big, and then we got an even bigger one over here. But unfortunately, the price just wasn't strong enough. The buyers weren't strong enough to actually hit our price target, so we just came right back down today. We managed to move up our stop loss just to really secure some of those gains, at least a couple of $50 or whatever the case may be. If the price does come down tomorrow again, we'll probably be stopped out, but I don't really mind. We did everything we could to let this stock continue running. Today it just showed us that it had some weakness, so respectively we had to move up our stop loss to this level right here, securing or at least guaranteeing or nearly guaranteeing, because there's no guarantees in the markets, this stock could literally gap down the next day. But from the 70 to 80 trades that I've taken so far, that doesn't happen too often, so I don't got to worry about that. But at least nearly guaranteeing some profits that are from right here where the entry is to the red mark, which is probably around $50. I'm not entirely sure, 1%. So that's going to guarantee us some money that's going to be made here. And as a trader, this is probably the best position you could be in. So the question isn't, are we going to make money or not? The question is, how much money are we going to make? Again, to be in this position as a trader is probably the most satisfying feeling there is to be in. But yes, we already broke down all the 4 trades right there, all the 4 stages. Obviously, the market can throw way more stuff at you, but as long as you have your stop loss, as long as you respect your rules, you trade the setups that are meant to be traded, you should be fine. So I'm going to end it right there. If you're interested in getting a watch list every single day, of course, there are some days where I don't. Like yesterday, there was no watch list. But today, I did send out the HURA trade 1 hour before the market closed. So that gave you guys an hour to analyze the chart here and determine if it's a trade willing to take or not. If you guys are interested, go ahead and join. I also do have a description here of the strategy, and I should mention that this strategy should only serve as a foundation to get started, so some form of guide just to get the ball rolling for you guys, and then hopefully you could build upon this strategy and personalize it a little bit more, and eventually maybe make it a profitable system for yourself. So with that in mind, go ahead and join the Discord. If not, at least leave a like, comment, subscribe. You guys stay focused. I'll see you guys in the next one.